Opendoor stock just delivered one of its biggest single-day moves of the year, closing Thursday's session up by a massive 25.6% at $3.04 per share. The rally started early, with the stock climbing into the $3 range and holding there for much of the day before building a stronger position above that key psychological level. This wasn't just a quick spike, it was a sustained push that kept buyers in control from the opening bell to the close. That's important because it signals more than just one-off hype. We've seen plenty of meme-style stocks make sharp intraday moves only to fade just as quickly. What stood out about Thursday was how the $3 zone became a comfortable trading range before the final push higher. That kind of price action often means traders are building positions, not just flipping them, and it sets up a very interesting backdrop for Friday's trade. A big part of today's move can be traced back to what's happening on social media. Anthony Pompliano, who has been a visible supporter of Opendoor in recent weeks, has taken an even more proactive role in driving the narrative. He's opened up his platforms to crowdsource questions for his upcoming interview with Opendoor's CEO, which will be recorded Monday and released Tuesday. That detail, the delayed release, is not a throwaway point. It's actually a very clever piece of strategy. By pushing the release to Tuesday, Pompliano ensures that the anticipation builds over several days. This gives him, and by extension the Opendoor narrative, multiple touchpoints with the market. First, there's the run-up to the interview. Then there's the chatter after it's recorded, with speculation about what was discussed. And finally, there's the actual release, which could produce another wave of reaction. In a momentum-driven stock with high short interest, that kind of staggered narrative control can be a very powerful tool. Eric Jackson, another vocal bull on the stock, has also been active, amplifying the discussion and even suggesting he'd be open to serving on Opendoor's board. Between Pompliano's influence, Jackson's activism, and the retail communities on Reddit, StockTwits, and X, Opendoor is sitting squarely in the middle of a coordinated wave of attention, and in the current market, attention often translates to price action. But there's an extra layer to this story that could make it even more compelling, the crypto angle. In recent days, both Pompliano and Jackson have openly floated the idea of Opendoor incorporating Bitcoin or blockchain into its operations. Now, this doesn't mean Opendoor is about to start buying Bitcoin or converting its platform to a decentralized model. But even just discussing how crypto could intersect with a company's business is enough to get certain corners of the market talking. Crypto and real estate have very different cultural bases. Real estate is viewed by many as the ultimate stable, tangible asset, a safe haven for long-term wealth building. Crypto is volatile, speculative, and driven by rapid innovation. Mixing the two can seem counterintuitive, even risky, especially to traditional and institutional investors. But in the current market climate, that intersection also has the potential to bring in an entirely new audience of traders and speculators who otherwise might not have looked at Opendoor. This is where Monday's interview could get really interesting. The most likely scenario is that the CEO takes a measured, non-committal stance, something along the lines of "We're open to exploring innovative solutions if they make sense for our customers and our business." That's the safe way to acknowledge the idea without committing to something that could alienate the more conservative end of the investor base. But even that kind of soft acknowledgement can be enough to fuel a short-term rally. Remember, momentum in stocks like this is often about the idea of what could happen as much as it is about actual operational change. If retail traders hear that the company is at least open to exploring crypto-related possibilities, that can be all the spark they need to pile in. We've seen this playbook before. Companies that hint at blockchain integration or crypto payment acceptance often see immediate surges in attention and price, even if no concrete steps follow right away. For a stock like Opendoor, which already has high short interest and strong retail engagement, that kind of catalyst could be explosive. It's not unreasonable to think that a carefully worded answer in that interview could extend or even accelerate the rally we've seen this week. And let's not forget the other major catalyst on the horizon, the Federal Reserve September meeting. Rate cuts are increasingly likely, and for a company like Opendoor, that's a real, fundamental tailwind. Lower mortgage rates can pull more buyers into the housing market, speed up transaction times, and improve the spreads that are core to Opendoor's profitability. While the crypto conversation might drive short-term sentiment, the rate cut story could underpin a more sustained move in the stock over the coming months. So now we have what I like to call a catalyst cluster. First, there's the immediate momentum from today's massive gain. Then there's the social media-driven anticipation heading into Monday's interview. Within that interview is the possibility of a headline-grabbing comment about crypto, even if it's just exploratory. And behind all of that is the macro narrative of an improving housing market environment if rates are cut in September. For traders, that's about as good a setup as you could hope for. The technical picture has shifted significantly. Breaking and holding above $3 puts the stock in new territory for this rally and turns that level into potential support rather than resistance. If buyers can defend that line on Friday, the path toward $3.25 or even $3.50 becomes more realistic in the very short term. Add in the possibility of shorts being squeezed, and remember, short interest is still around 20 to 25% of the float, and the volatility could continue to favor the upside. For longer-term investors, the question is whether Opendoor can use this moment to expand its market presence without overextending into pure speculation. Striking a balance between its core real estate business and any crypto-related experimentation would be key. If management can frame innovation as an enhancement to their existing platform rather than a pivot away from it, they could end up with a story that resonates across both conservative and speculative investor bases. That's a rare position to be in, and potentially a defining one. As we look ahead to Friday, here's what I'll be watching closely. Does $3 hold a support in early trading? Does social media chatter increase further as more people submit questions for the CEO interview? Are there any new hints or teases from Pompliano or Jackson that could fuel pre-weekend FOMO buying? If the answers to those questions are yes, then the rally could very well continue into next week, setting the stage for Monday's interview to be the next inflection point. The bottom line after Thursday's trade is this: Opendoor has moved from a stock fighting to break $2.50 to one that's confidently trading above $3 in a matter of days. Retail energy is high, the catalysts are stacking up, and the narrative is expanding in ways that could keep it in the market spotlight. Whether it's the potential for rate cuts, the prospect of a high-profile interview, or the intrigue of a crypto twist, Opendoor has multiple paths to keep the rally alive, and right now, all of them are pointing higher.